Hey, thanks for joining me today. I want to show you some old-fashioned candies. My favorite are lemon drops, and I've already made those ahead of time, and we certainly have this recipe available on the SweetWise website. You can do other things with it too as well. The green is actually a key lime flavor, and I went ahead and soured that as well. Right now what I'm going to show you is the tart cherry. So even though we're going to call this the old-fashioned lemon drop candy recipe, you can certainly do a number of varieties. So I'm actually going to show you the cherry now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 1 cup of granulated sugar, and I get a 1/4 cup of water and a 1/4 cup of corn syrup. I'm just going to use my spatula to get all that in there, and I'm going to start my flame. All right, so I've got my flame on, and I'm going to put it like on a medium to a medium-high heat, and just make sure this is all stirred up well together. You might want to take a little bit of extra cold water and kind of wash down any sugar crystals that have come up on the side just to keep that from crystallizing. What we're going to go for here is 310 degrees, and you don't want to go past that because you don't want it to caramelize. So while that's cooking, let me just show you my setup that I've got over here. The ingredients that I have not yet put into this as that comes up to temperature are a teaspoon of citric acid, my flavor of choice, and of course the coloring for it. I also have a little bit of powdered sugar over here on the side, and that's what we dust them with once we've cut them into shapes so that they don't stick to each other. Now, as far as my other tools go, what I've got here is just a silicone baking mat, and it's laid out on something that's temperature proof. So like if you put this mat directly on your counter and then poured hot sugar on it, it's probably going to warp your countertop unless you have granite or marble tops. This is one of my favorite tools. It's about the same size as the mat, and it's just a granite, like a half sheet size, and I got that at like some random kitchen store years ago. So this is all set up and ready to go for once my temperature comes up to 310 degrees. Okay, so we are approaching 310 degrees now. I want to go ahead and take that off the heat, and I'm just going to set my candy thermometer aside. Now I'm just going to let this kind of rest a second till all those bubbles start falling out. And at that point is when I'm going to add my remaining ingredients, okay? So now is when my citric acid goes in there. I kind of like to do a heaping teaspoon, probably more like a teaspoon and a quarter, just because I like it that degree of sour. You can certainly add an extra 1/4 teaspoon from that or less, maybe go down to an even teaspoon. Next comes my color. I'm just going to add a little bit of super red gel, and that's just like a couple of drops. And then goes my flavor, the good stuff. This is the cherry, the SweetWise line of flavoring, and I'm probably going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of the cherry. If I were doing the lemon, it's a lemon oil, so I would just add about a 1/4 teaspoon of that because it's real strong. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stir that in here. Now, be warned, my spatula is heat proof up to 500 degrees. If yours is not at home or you're not sure, don't chance it. Don't melt your spatula into your sugar. A wooden spoon or a metal spoon would work just as well, as long as you don't burn yourself. Be careful. See how hot this is? It's kind of like molten lava, so just make sure you don't get any on your skin. It's really, really dangerous. Okay, so we're ready to pour this out so it can start cooling off. And it's gonna just sit here for about 4 minutes, just depending on how cold your surface is underneath it and how cold the room is. But we're just gonna let that rest a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna be able to form it. This is one of the great things I love about using the silicone mat. While this is still hot, you notice I've got gloves on, but I'm still not sticking my hands in it. What I love to do is test if it's ready. I can turn the mat over and kind of let the interior of the sugar grab. And as soon as it starts to pull away, I know that it's just about there and ready to cut. Okay. Now again, this is still really, really hot, so gloves really help. I tend to like to pull mine just because you see how dark this looks. It hardly looks red. Pulling it kind of incorporates some air and it gives it a great shine. So even though we're going to be covering it with a powdered sugar later on, you still have that great shine in the middle. So I'm just going to kind of form this into a log. And then pull the end and set it in the center. Pull the end, set it in the center. Again, pulling this is not essential because it is mainly for the shine and the color, and it is going to get coated in the powdered sugar in a bit, but you'll see here in like a couple more pulls how it really starts to brighten the color, and the shine is just really pretty. So here's another really great trick. If you're pulling the sugar and your hands get too hot, they're uncomfortable, just reach up and touch your chest, your shoulders, and that will cool your hands off immediately without getting them wet, like sticking them in cold water or anything. Okay, so I can feel that this is starting to get a little bit firmer, so I really want to get a nice couple of long pulls at the end to really make this color nice. This is a really nice tart cherry color. It's almost like a flame red. Okay, so now what I've got is a log, and what I'm going to do is grab my scissors and just cut this in half, and I'm going to work with half of it at a time. So what I'm going to do, you know, you could get molds for this, but I kind of like the rustic look of it. People know you made it by hand. So what I'm going to do is just cut, and these are going to be maybe 3/4 of an inch long, and just set them aside where they're not touching each other so they can cool off. Make sure they're not touching each other when you do this so they don't stick together. Okay, so I got the last of my candy cut, and you do have to move through that pretty quickly. If it gets too hard where it shatters when you're cutting it, that's when you would need to warm it up a little bit. You can do it in the microwave for a few seconds at a time, or even put it in the oven. Now, once these have hardened up, you can just leave here to rest like 5 or 10 minutes. That's when you want to go ahead and put them in the powdered sugar. Make sure at this point they're not warm anymore, because they can still stick together even if they're covered in powdered sugar. So I just wait and let them cool off on the table there. Okay, so once you have them dusted in powdered sugar, what I like to do is take them out and kind of shake as much powdered sugar off as I can, and that way it's going to leave a little bit more of the color exposed. So that's the tart cherry. I really love, my favorite is still the old-fashioned lemon drop candy. You can really do any kind of flavor fruit you want. Just kind of think to yourself if it would be appropriate to make it sour. So strawberry, you could probably get away with like a sour strawberry, kind of like a wild strawberry taste. Even grape would be nice. You can kind of make a play on sour grapes kind of thing. But like maybe something else wouldn't be as nice with it being tart. So just kind of think through that, like coconut wouldn't be so great tart. If that's the case, you can leave that citric acid out and you're not going to get that sour punch to it. But the lemon and the lime and the cherry are some of my favorites. You can even do just the green and the red for Christmas if you want to. And maybe for Valentine's Day, if you want to do like a red and a pink, you can do like cherry and strawberry. That would be really nice as well. The old-fashioned candy is really easy to make. People always love a good hard candy. I hope you're going to try it. Thanks for watching.